Our consumer behavior project was bug protein and consumer behaviors. We will be exploring consumption perceptions for insect protein for human consumption. And this is by Emma Corey, Elizabeth Frick, and McKenna Ramsey. Topic definition is focusing on insect protein for human consumption as a protein alternative. We will be discussing its role in the food systems. So instead of anyone who is just consuming regular meat, as in red meat or white meat or any fish, they would be getting their protein intake from insects, not from plants either. We will also be focusing on consumers' opinions on the rising protein source. Our research will be understanding consumers' attitudes and opinions towards this new topic and this rising protein, and identifying its competition and opportunities for market growth. Our research aims to understand why consumers who have purchased insect protein use it and what the consumptions instead of the alternatives. So, are they using it really to just aim to gain muscle? Are they lifting every day? All of that, or is it just for a healthier diet and alternative? Identifying barriers and opportunities we will use to perform the marketing strategies. We will enhance consumer education, contribute to sustainability food practices, and research is important because it is related to need for the environmental friendly protein sources. So, insect protein is a rising market, and it has increased human consumption of insect protein can result in many nutritional and environmental benefits. The protein impact is sustainable, and farming insects worldwide would free up vast tracts of land that are currently used by farm animals, as well as produce feed for livestock, replacing half of the meat eaten worldwide with mealworms and crickets has the protein to cut farmland use by a third. With more land, more opportunities. For literature review, we got consumers' attitudes, perceptions, cultural influences, and marketing strategies. Some consumers' behaviors related to insect protein, consumers' attitudes towards sustainable food. Many cultures intake insect protein, and as their food choices, it is also effective marketing strategies for novel foods.
Through the literature review, we were able to determine consumers' attitudes and perceptions surrounding human consumption of insect protein. Consumers now more than ever are concerned about the sustainability of their food products, where their food comes from, and the impact that it has on the environment. And more consumers would be willing to try insect protein if it's proven to be a more sustainable source of protein rather than traditional protein. Taste and familiarity are also major barriers, though, when it comes to how humans consume insect protein. There are also a lot of cultural influences surrounding human consumption of insect protein. So it is estimated that 2 billion people in the world use insects as a primary food source to gain their protein and their nutrition from. Insect consumption mainly occurs in the tropical regions of South and Central America, Africa, and South and East Asia. And consumption of insect protein is a major part of the culture in these regions that they have been relying on insects for thousands of years as a main source of protein and to get their nutrients from. However, Western cultures show more resistance due to unfamiliarity of insect consumption and the perceived yuck factor of eating insects. We also discovered several marketing strategies that could be used to help market more human consumption of insect protein. So it needs to be emphasized all the environmental and nutritional benefits that insect protein has. The insect protein is more sustainable for the environment, it's a better option, and it also has a lot more nutrients than what people believe to be true. It could also be normalized through mainstream media and the use of influencers, for example. And that positive framing around insect protein, an example of this would be a taste testing event, that if more people would be willing to try it, the more people that want to consume insect protein, it could spread and more people be willing to accept it overall. Products can also be marketed that makes the insect protein unrecognizable and more appealing to consumers, such as it would be ground into powder, paste, liquids. This way, the consumer doesn't really believe that they're eating an insect. It's just a protein powder from an insect source. And for the research methodology that we use for our unstructured interviews, we use several example questions such as our initial thoughts on insect protein. Are you willing to try insect-based foods, and how willing you would be to try insect-based foods? The importance of sustainability that your food choices have. So are you concerned about how sustainable where your food comes from and how sustainable it is to the environment? And what factors would influence you to accept human consumption of insect protein?
On the data analysis side, you can see the rise of insect protein consumption is supposed to increase every year as more people adapt and accept the idea. The second graph is just a quick look at protein levels compared to other insects as well. In this graph, you can see that termites have a high level of protein in them. These two graphs I do not own. I have found them on the internet, but I think these two graphs represent and show what companies should be looking at because the projected growth of insect protein is increasing, and this is something that many companies should jump on and get ahead of so they can have a competitive advantage. But they could also see what insects, this is not all the insects, but they can see what insects have high levels of protein, or if they want an insect that maybe it isn't as high in protein, just a little bit lower, just depending on taste. They can use these graphs and they can use this information gathered off the internet to see what they want to do and how this will best align with their company. So on the results side, as America and other countries who are starting to dive into insect protein, we can forecast this will become successful and will be a new and semi-main channel for protein intake. Not only does insects have high protein, but it is better for the environment, which helps with environment activists and is one of the key reasons for such a projected growth. When it comes to insect protein, since they are so high in protein, vegetarians and athletes will benefit from this because some athletes have allergies and vegetarians choose not to eat meat. So being able to have this channel of a different source of protein will help this tremendously, and it will help grow the market. What I would recommend for manufacturers is to target and look at athletes and vegetarians for insect protein. For this, they can use protein bars, energy bars, smoothies, basically anything kind of that they can consume to eat to get this protein. This quote that I found was that the protein content and curiosity about texture were the main drivers to taste the cricket energy bar, and male athletes were more likely than females to consume a bar. This quote shows that targeting this specific group will help increase the demand and will help increase the projected growth of this market. So if a company wanted to do it, I would say they should target athletic men because men are more willing to try insect protein than women. I also talked to a few of my teammates, and they're kind of grossed out by the idea, but when I talked to my friends that were guys, they were more down to try it and more willing to try it just because they're down to try everything. But also, with this being such a new concept, if we see that athletic men are even more using this kind of protein intake, I think more people will start using this as well and start adapting it into their everyday lives. The conclusion that I have is that preparing for the future of food, we have seen that insects can be used as a good source of protein. With using insects, it can help lower negative environment impact that many workers now are causing. This being a new source of food, challenges will be apparent, and there's no way that we can stop that, and will need to be evaluated thoroughly before it is thrown into the main channel and becomes a main source of protein. In other countries, Africa and parts of Asia and South America already practice using insects as protein. The idea of eating insects goes back many years ago and now is slowly starting to become a reality in many more countries. Here in America, we're just testing a lot of things to make sure that insect protein is healthy and that it will help many people and see the allergies that can be in them. So
So going off of that, some insects have allergies in them, so insects need to be tested to see what allergies are in them. So we're not just like sticking like a termite in there, and someone who has like a protein that's in a termite, someone can be allergic to. So we need to make sure that everyone is safe and that these will be safe food for everybody in this market. Like I said, the research of this is still growing, but with the graph that was in the data analysis slide, we can see that this growth is going to be just rising, and by 2029, we're probably going to see billions of dollars put into markets like this, because this is going to be the new trend, and it's going to be a new way for consumers to eat protein, whether they are vegetarian, an athlete, or just an everyday person. They will have a new source of intake, and we'll see this will become a new channel for people to eat. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation.